Hey guys, how are we? It's another self-recording tutorial about a food photographer. So I'm learning Photoshop how to enhance our food photos. So I just learned a couple new tricks and I want to share with you guys, and also this is for myself just in case later I forgot to remind me. So I have a very simple photo here, which I took from everyday cooking. It's a slow cooked short rib with a little bit of roast veggies. So let's just Command J to duplicate this layer. Then we can work on the new layer. Then we just add a curve adjustment layer, like a everyday practice, every day, every minute. Just very simple, very easy to use. We set a middle point at a middle tone. Then we just increase a little bit the highlights and decrease a little bit the shadow. It's just adding a little bit more contrast to the image. Then I think this picture, the background of this picture is a little bit distracting the main dish. So I want to add a little bit more blur, add a little bit more depth of field to this image. How we do this? We have to get this picture selected first, then we go into filter, then we go to blur, then we go into iris blur. So for this blur tool, it's actually very easy to use. After you click, you will have like sort of oval shape control. In the middle is how strong you want the blur, the strength of the blur. Then you can actually drag this to somewhere else, depends where you want to focus. Also, you can change the shape and the size of that oval shape. Say, let's say, and we just increase this a little bit because I want to make this look more natural. But of course, you don't want to overdo it, otherwise it just looks fake. The whole point of we are using Photoshop to enhancing our photo is to make it look more distinguished, but meanwhile more natural. We want to keep it natural. Don't. So after this, we just click OK to apply this blur. Let's turn off this. So that's our original photo. Then after this, that's a photo we applied blur. You can see the background has a lot more blur. So the viewers can focus. But in order to add more focus to this photo, to the dish, we can add a gradient adjustment layer to add a little bit of shadow cast on the background. So you have a lot of choice here. You can pick the color, whatever you want, but here we're gonna just use black and white. And you can also add more, depends on what you want. You can also delete them, just make this color stop selected and you press delete. You can also change the smoothness and the opacity. You have a lot of controls. Then you click OK, or actually we have to click black. Then you also can choose styles, linear, radial, angles, or reflected. But here we can use radial because it's around the focus centered picture. Then you can play around with angle, or you want to just reverse. How much scale you want. The smaller number, the more gradient you will have. The bigger, the less you will have. Let's just say that looks good. Then, because we just want to add that shadow cast on the background, so we have to use a brush to pen out. Our focus. Very simple. Make sure you have this a soft brush selected. Alright, let's have a look what we have done so far. That's original one. That's what we got so far. It's already a massive change. Just decrease this shade a little bit. Again, just make it a lot more natural. Alright, next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to add a very simple vibrance adjustment layer to this picture. Just add a little bit more interesting, a little bit more color. So it's very simple, this adjustment. You have vibrance, you have saturation, pretty much. Minus means desaturated, that's oversaturated. You want to go back to, normally I just don't use saturation at all, I just play around with vibrance. It's how vibrant the bright color in the image going to be. It's not gonna be a dramatically change, it just looks a lot more vivid. Alright. Last time I learned how to use color range to select certain color. I'm gonna change, I want to change the color of this green salad. Okay. Then we're gonna apply a hue saturation layer just to these leaves. That looks good, looks interesting. And we're gonna paint. That looks a lot more interesting, right? Some kind colored salad on top of that meat. Haha, never seen this before. Alright, I think this picture looks good, looks interesting. But before we publishing it for any use, any web use, Facebook or Instagram, let's just do one more thing. Let's give this sharpness to these pictures. Command Option Shift plus E. So what this does is actually it creates a picture on top of all these layers. So it's like a summary of all these layers. Then you can play overlay. The looks are very saturated, but don't worry. We're gonna apply filter, then we're going to other, we're going to high pass. Depends what to use for your picture. If you use for printing, you might want to have a very sharp picture. So, but if you just for web use, I think 4 looks good. Let's have a look at the details. Without that sharpen layer, the picture looks pretty blurred if you look very close. But with that sharpen layer, it looks a lot more sharp. Okay, I'm ready for publishing this photo for my Instagrams. Let's have a look. What do we have done so far? Click this original photo. That's what we have in the first place. Then we auto click this again. That's what we have in the end. That's a lot of change. That looks a lot more interesting and a lot more weird. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys can share some tricks I learned as well to help you to enhance your photos. Bye bye.